What's up, guys? It is Carly here bringing you your Tuesday review on body bags. I believe it is week 239 and it is the end of the month, which means it is another theme week. And the theme this week is Scream Factory movies. It could have been, special editions or just any Scream Factory film that you had in your collection. And I decided to go with one that I just picked up, which is Misery. I got this at Walmart a couple weeks ago because, they had it for pretty cheap at Walmart. It was about $13, I believe. So decided to go ahead and pick it up. Came with a slipcover and everything. And yeah, so Misery 1990. This is obviously a story based off the Stephen King book, which I happen to be reading right now. I'm almost done with. And the plot here is you have a writer, Paul Sheldon. He has just finished a new novel, and he, I believe it's set in Colorado, and it's snowing out pretty bad. He's up in the mountains, and he starts driving home, I believe, or I forget where he's trying to go exactly, but the point is he starts driving, and he ends up getting into a wreck because a giant blizzard breaks out, and he is then saved by this character, Annie Wilkes, and instead of taking him to the hospital, she takes him back to her place and kind of has a bedroom set up for him because she used to be a nurse, so she knows how to, do medical stuff, like give him medicine and sort of help his legs that are broken. And everything seems okay at first. Like, she just seems like a nice woman, and she says the roads are down and the snowstorm is just too bad and all the lines are out, so he can't really call for any help or anything. And she says, like, oh, but we'll get you help as soon as we can. And then he starts to realize that she, is kind of a little weird in the head, and she's kind of obsessed with him. She's obsessed with his books, so he slowly begins to realize he is in more danger than he thought, and it becomes kind of his means of his story of survival in this woman's house as he realizes she has been holding him captive. So that is the story of Misery. Sorry, that was kind of a long-winded plot there, but anyway, my thoughts about Misery. I will say this is one I used to watch quite a bit growing up. I know it used to always be on TV, and I would always watch it. And it's been quite a few years since I've revisited it because I just didn't own it on DVD or any other format, so I just kind of forgot about it and never really rewatched it. And upon rewatch, I gotta say, I really enjoyed the heck out of this movie. There was some stuff that I even kind of forgot that was even in it, especially since I'm reading the book right now. While I'm reading the book, I'm kind of thinking like, oh, I don't think they did this in the movie, and then rewatching the movie, they actually do a lot of the stuff that is in the book pretty well. And the performances in this movie are all just fantastic. You have James Caan and Kathy Bates. They do a great job in their roles. Just the facial expressions that each of them give are sometimes very, make you feel uneasy, and then sometimes some of them are very laughable, especially from, the Paul Sheldon character when he's kind of like, oh shit, whenever she starts kind of losing it. And not to compare it to the book too much, but I do kind of like how the movie kind of tones down the Annie character a little bit, and right off the bat, you don't really get that she's completely psychotic, where I feel like in the book, it kind of just takes off immediately, and it's a little more brutal. I actually kind of like how they tone it down in the movie, and it kind of builds on tension and suspense where you don't know exactly what she has up her sleeve or how crazy she really is, because she really just comes off as this, lonely, quirky woman who's just kind of living out there on her own, and you kind of just feel bad for her in a way. And really all you see is her just having minor freakouts here and there, but it's not until you get more into the movie that she really starts to lose it. And I just think the character development is really solid with that. Even the backup characters or background characters, whatever you want to call them, the sheriff and his wife, I think they are excellent characters in this movie as well. They kind of provide some comic relief just by the way they speak to each other and things like that. I've always found them to be very entertaining, because this is kind of a downer of a film. So I really like their roles in this as well. I think everyone in this movie does a great job. Other things about it is this is one of those movies that just has a lot of awkward and uncomfortable moments where you kind of just want to look away, and there are actually times where I'm just like looking away. It's one of those movies that's very just cringy at times with things that like the character Annie says, just her weird dialect and things like that, and just how uncomfortable the Paul Sheldon character looks. You just feel so sorry for him and even her because she's such a weirdo, and it's really just hard to watch, and I've always felt that way about this film, and the feeling has never gone away. So I really got to give it props for that, because sometimes movies kind of lose their general feel after a while, and for me this movie just never has. It also gives me chills at times. There's a couple just gut-wrenching moments in it where you just don't want what's happening to happen, and of course after watching it several times it's going to happen, but it's still just it sends shivers down my spine and makes me uncomfortable and makes me sad and gives me all those emotions. And I really give this film credit for holding up to this day, because it's just one I've seen many times, and if it can still give me all those emotions, it's a pretty solid film. Don't really have many negatives on this movie. The only thing maybe is that sometimes it kind of feels a little slow. This is a longer movie than I had thought it was. It's 108 minutes, and it kind of feels like it's that long, but not necessarily in a bad way. And I wouldn't really say it's much of a slow burn, because there's always stuff going on, but at the same time, it just you kind of just feel the length after a while, but that's not really anything horrible. All in all, I really love this movie. I think it has a very solid ending too. Like, once again, I think the ending is perfect right up to the, final ending moments, and the music that starts playing on the credits. Never realized before, but it's actually quite perfect when you watch it. And so yeah, Misery, really like this one. I have not finished the book yet, so I'm very curious to see if it plays out and ends the same way as the movie, because I do think this is a solid adaptation. Honestly, it's just not as brutal as the book, and I'm actually okay with that. I know I've heard some people complain that they wish they would have made it a little more amped up in the movie, but I'm actually totally okay with the way the movie goes down. I think it makes it less cheesy, and also builds more on suspense rather than like torture and horror and things like that. So all in all, I give Misery a 9 out of 10. Originally, I was at an 8.5, but when I really thought about it, I really don't have that many issues, if any at all, with this film, other than maybe the timing and things like that. So yeah, 9 out of 10 for Misery, and also the quality was pretty good on this Blu-ray. Don't really know if I love the cover art all that much, but yeah, not a big deal. 9 out of 10 for Misery. Thank you guys for joining me for this Tuesday review, and I will see you next